passion. I'm a soldier, won't surrender. Faith is like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath when you pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping and the shadows could be making history. Through the fire, on the water, used to be a slave, but now you are a conqueror.
They can take my heart, they can take my breath when they pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. We're rising up, rising up, we're rising up, rising up, we're rising up. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us.
And welcome everybody to another episode of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. I welcome you to a post-Thanksgiving edition. As always, I am your guiding light. I am, of course, Joe Vollano, your host and your guiding light on what is going on in not only the city, the state, but in national politics. So we have a lot to talk about. But of course, this show always works best when you guys are engaged, because an engaged audience is an informed audience. So if you want to call in, 203-679-9610, or you can email us at straighttalkjv@gmail.com. Or if you're on the Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, or on Facebook, you could always jump onto the chat, where I monitor all the chats going on from all the different platforms. And I see you guys are already getting on there with your hellos with each other. So let's dive right in here, because we have a large stack of stuff. We're going to try to get through as much of this as possible tonight. But of course, I'm going to do a shameless plug here. Of course, this show is, as always, presented by Filler Up, who we are doing a special this weekend. Take advantage of dropping oil prices, $2.59 per gallon, 100-gallon minimum. Make sure you share that with your friends. It's still going on, so you could turn around. You could visit tryfillerup.com, or you could always give Barbara a call over at the office, 203-600-9425. So now that we got that out of the way, get that out of there. Let's get down to business. I can't express how proud I am of everybody that showed up the Thanksgiving Eve to the city council meeting. That was an absolute joke of a meeting, and I'm still looking to contest. LaRue Graham was not present. LaRue Graham did that event from the road. He was virtual. So he wasn't there. So if anyone who showed up to the council meeting, listen, you had a packed room of people who got there, who were being inconvenienced. And you're trying to tell me that LaRue Graham couldn't be inconvenienced to show up? If she was worried about getting a quorum, which is one of her biggest issues, she says, oh, well, we only did it on that day because that's when they could have had a quorum. Well, if everyone could just call in, they could have called in from wherever they are. So what would have been the difference? And if the only reason why you had it on that Wednesday was because that's when you had a quorum, why don't you just hold off until the next regularly scheduled meeting, which was December 6th? So nothing that she said made any sense at all. It made no sense. There was absolutely no reason for that meeting to be held on Wednesday, other than one reason and one reason alone. She needed Chad Cardillo's vote. And she, like I said, we talked about it before, Jelks had made promises to certain groups and individuals that this was going to get done. And hell or high water, she was getting it done on Wednesday night. When we had events throughout the city going on, people had to go get, I know Dan Bernay, like he said last time, he's supposed to go get people at the airport, or he had relatives coming in. I'm sure a lot of it, obviously LaRue Graham had something better else to do. Oh, absolutely. She needed that vote. The quorum would have happened anytime. You could have had it December 6th. You could have taken it up at the next regularly scheduled meeting, and you would have had a quorum. So to sit there and say that that's the only date she would have had a quorum is complete and utter nonsense. She knows it. We know it. This was all politics. This was promises made, promises kept to certain groups and individuals. That's all this was about. And without Chad Cardillo, none of this would be possible. This is the first time I've ever seen a stunt like this pulled. Like I said, though, I wasn't surprised at it at all. I definitely was not surprised. But I want to know, why was LaRue Graham allowed to do it remotely? That just doesn't make any sense to me. If the people are expected to be there, he should have been there. Because I don't think he should have counted. But that's my opinion. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know if the state still says that we're not supposed to be eating in public. I don't believe that's the case. And Chad should have recused himself. Absolutely. So now where do we go from here? Now that this is done and over with, nothing we can do about it. It's done and over. Now we need to move on. What do we do from here? Now it's up to the mayor, because the mayor is the one who gets to appoint who's on this committee. Now I believe there's going to be 9, if I'm mistaken. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's going to be 9 people on this, 1 from each district, and then 5 at large, if I remember correctly. And then I gotta reckon there's going to be 2 liaisons from the city council, I would imagine, as with any other committee. So now the question is, 1, does this actually get put together? Because I'm taking this up to the mayor to appoint people. Can the mayor just drag his feet and just say, hey, you know what? We're just not going to do this. I like to, we have to get the mayor on and find out what his game plan is, because the mayor was totally against this. And it's a shame that they had to pull a stunt like this to do it the night before Thanksgiving. And like I said, kudos to everybody that was there. That was a packed house, and we had people out in the hallway. There were people who I never would have thought would have been there the night before Thanksgiving, and they were there. And it was great to see them. Even with that, they still had their mind set and they were going to do what they wanted to do. And like she says, she wouldn't have called the meeting if she didn't have the votes. And she had the votes. I would love to know who all these people are that apparently talk to these counselors that are so deathly afraid to show up and speak their mind. Hell, when Cassette was there, I spoke my mind against him every single time I got to that podium. At some point, you got to have some balls and just turn around and say, you know what? This, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong, and just go out there and say it. So I would love to know who these people are that are so afraid to go out there and speak their mind. But no, I did not. I did not see you and Rhodey going at it again. I don't go on Facebook all that often anymore. I mean, I go on there very briefly since it is an extremely busy time for me. But I'll have to go back and look at it. I'm taking it's on your taxpayer page. I'll have to go take a look. But this council does not care about what the public wants. And it's apparent. And they will go through extremes. They will go through extremes to make sure that they get what they want accomplished. Chad Cardillo had no right to vote on that. He should have excused himself. But of course he's not going to. It's his final FU before leaving office for the brief time he was here. And good riddance that he is gone. Because he's an embarrassment. Especially after what happened over the last, I would say, 3 weeks. But now it's up to the mayor, and the mayor, I hope, is going to come on and explain to us on what his objective is and what he plans, who he plans on putting on. I know I'm trying. I'm going to definitely try to get onto it. It's important for everybody here to try to get onto that CRB. They want people to be active and to be representative of the people. We should all be putting our hands up. It is absolute madness. And again, I thank Councilman Carabetta, Councilman Brunet, Councilman Williams, definitely. Councilman Williams was going after Jelks. And I love that, pinpointing questions right at her. And she could sit there and say, I'm not going to answer him as if I'm on trial. You are on trial. You are on trial. You are the one that is doing this. So yes, you should answer the questions. You should. It is absolute madness. And every time she spoke, every time Jelks spoke, she contradicted herself because, and most of what she said was just nonsense. And people were just like sitting in the audience like, what is she talking about? You couldn't get a quorum. You get a quorum every single council meeting. This did not even have to come to a special session. This could have been taken up on December 6th. But they couldn't allow that because Ray Arlette would have been voting on it. I don't think did he veto the funding? I think he just vetoed the creation of it. Unless it was all packed in one. I thought they were two separate resolutions altogether. I could be mistaken. I know Councilman Carabetta might be able to shed some light on that. Will they have to go through the funding process all over again? But I believe they both passed. So, listen, like I said, though, at the end of the day, the Civilian Review Board, I guess, is here. Now, the best we could do now is sit there and make sure that we could make sure it has the least amount of impact on our police department and the way they do their jobs. Because I already know what's coming. Like I said, this was just the foundation of it. In 6 months to a year, yeah, that's what I thought. So 6 months to a year in the future, they'll be coming back to us saying, you know what, we have no authority. We can't do this. We can't do that. You know, nobody will talk to us. No police officer will come sit down with us. And we're going to have subpoena powers. And this council is going to be going straight back and adding subpoena powers to the CRB. Now listen, I haven't been wrong yet. I have not been wrong yet since the beginning of this. Since the beginning of this social justice, racial justice crap that's going on, I have not been wrong yet. I am batting 1,000. Even my timelines are pretty much dead on accurate. So I'll take this to the bank. Subpoena powers are coming. Then they're going to put then they're going to increase the budget. They're going to increase the budget, and they're going to give them more money. And then what are we going to do? Well, that's not going to be enough either. I can't believe if you're just following this, you really need to go back and listen to the last shows for the last month and a half and catch yourself up on what's going on in city council. And we can't rehash the whole thing in a matter of 45 minutes, but you should really go back and look at that, Christina, and know that, you know, our council has some serious issues. But the good thing is we still do have 4 of them. I wish, Ed. I wish. We still have 3 with a 4th one coming onto the council that's going to bring some sanity back. But now our job is to limit the damage. I wish that my crystal ball was the same as yours, Sean, but Jelks is going to be a shoo-in. Listen, nobody votes in Area 1. It's sad. I think somebody said it best. Area 1 has 2 of the most powerful people in the city in it. Finance chair and majority leader. And hardly anyone comes out and votes. It's an absolute disgrace. But we can sit here and talk about this forever. But like I said, what's done is done. What's done is done. Now we need to make sure that we fight against this to make sure that we can limit the damage. Because we do have some big elections coming up. But like, listen, elections have consequences. And I have a story in the stack of stuff here next to me that's going to really, and it directly affects Meriden. Because we'll never have a state senator from Meriden again that's a Republican. Remember, every 10 years, after the census is done, they redistrict. And the redistricting got finalized this week. And Meriden and District 13 for the Senate is screwed. Is screwed. And we'll go over the maps in a couple minutes. But I just want to wrap this up. So listen, we have a CRB coming. Again, everyone needs to send emails to the mayor expressing their interest in being on the CRB. The more like-minded people we get on there, let's combat. And listen, don't try to get on if you're not outspoken. Whoever is on this CRB needs to be outspoken and can articulate the right and wrongs of what's going on and be able to push back against, no doubt, what's going to be outside groups looking to affect policy here in the city of Meriden. So be ready for that. So hopefully, like I said, we'll get the mayor on next week after everything calms down, and we'll go from there. And I know it was brought up during the meeting that there were messages found around Meriden. Now, I don't know if there's been any more found, but during that meeting, earlier in the day, there were messages found around Old Colony Road. One was found near a school bus stop, and they were just scattered across the ground. And they all were violent. They all promoted violent acts against our Meriden Police Department. That's what our Meriden Police Department deals with on a daily basis. They don't need the notes. With every stop they make, with every interaction they make with an individual, it could turn into something that's dangerous. So the fact that we're finding it just happens that same day, we're finding those notes on the ground while they're holding this BS of a meeting day before Thanksgiving, which also was the night that Hubbard Park was lit up. The mayor and the city council should have been down at Hubbard Park for the lighting of the lights. If nobody thinks that all this wasn't done intentionally, again, to limit the amount of people that would show up to the city council, of course it was. It didn't work. So, oh, that's nice. Yeah, we'll get into the announcements at the end. But they all have better places to be than sitting there on the Thanksgiving Eve voting on that. But like I said, what's done is done. Let's talk about some good things going on in the city. Because this coming weekend, we have Christmas in the Village for South of Meriden, for all you guys down there, and for obviously anyone in the city. Obviously, it's a great event to go to. So this Saturday, December 4th, from 1 to 4:30, down on Main Street in South of Meriden. The Santa Parade starts at 1. Obviously, they have horse-drawn carriage rides and all this kind of stuff you're seeing up on the screen. This event, obviously, is free and for everyone. It's a great event. If you've never been to it, it's an absolute terrific event to go to. So I suggest, I highly recommend if you are available on December 4th from 1 to 4:30, stop down there and check it out. They work extremely hard putting this thing together. I know they have a Facebook page too. They have a Facebook page also that you can visit. It's called Christmas in the Village, or South Meriden Christmas in the Village, or something like that. So, of course, that's always great, what's going on. We have Yule Fest coming up again. That's obviously held downtown. They have actually a pretty good event schedule going on there, too. That takes place Saturday, December 11th from 1 to 5 over on Colony Street. Again, they have about the same thing, the horse-drawn carriages and stuff like that. We'll talk more about the Yule Fest next week when we'll try to have somebody on from the Yule Fest, whether or not it's Carrie or Daryl or maybe Dave Grodzicki. We'll get one of them on to talk more about Yule Fest. I know they have another event that they do with different businesses around the city. Until December 10th, the residents can visit the 12 different businesses on their passes, stand for a chance to win $1,300 worth of prizes. So that's another great thing. And again, anything that brings business to small businesses and brings people downtown is a good thing. To me, it's a great event to have downtown, like I said, but it's not going to fix the problems downtown. And that's the unfortunate part. That's the people in this city. I think Democrats in this city or liberals in the city hall have, like I said, destroyed the opportunity to build a vibrant downtown with their choice to put low-income housing all over it. So we talked about that. Again, we've been talking about that for months, if not years, about the effects that low-income housing is going to have when trying to revitalize an area. Obviously, everything we talked about has been coming true because still we are having huge issues trying to get businesses down there. And you have two properties down there that are going for auction, I believe, next week. They go for auction. So we'll see how that plays out and see if those are actually approved by the city so that they will do something productive with those properties. Most likely either renovate them or I would say most likely they're going to knock them down and build something new. But because I don't see any saving of those buildings. But those are the two big events going on in Meriden over the next couple weeks. Christmas in the Village, again, is this Saturday. And then the following Saturday is going to be Yule Fest down on Colony Street downtown. So, like I said, we'll talk about that again more next week. But please, by all means, try to get down there and bring the kids. So it is a great job and a great event that they put together every single year. So kudos to them down there for trying to bring some joy and happiness to the people of Meriden. And yeah, the West Main Street's looking really nice with the Christmas lights around the poles. I know Tucker was loving them last night when we went down to Hubbard Park. We went through the lights last night. And of course, like I said, Tucker absolutely loved them. So those are the events going on here in Meriden. We're going to switch a little bit to some state politics because that's what's going to be coming up. And like I said, elections have consequences, and this is going to be the prime reason why they do. Let me bring these maps up. So the map you're looking at right now is the current area Senate District number 13. Now, this is back in 2010 2011 when this one was approved. And this shows you parts of Middletown, all of Middlefield, all of Meriden, and then parts of Cheshire. Now, why was this made like that? So they basically try to get when they try to do redistricting and they try to district areas. Remember, when they're under Democratic control, they try to do a balance. They try to balance it out, and they try to say, "All right, well, we get this many Democrats to come out. Now we need to help." Cheshire and Middlefield are two Republican towns, so they try to take as few amount of Republicans in these towns to kind of balance off the Democrats in the city. So if you have 100,000, let's say, just not saying that this is real, 100,000 Democrats in Meriden, they're going to try to grab 75,000 to 80,000 Democrats from the surrounding Republican towns to draw into a Democratic district. And that's to try to help other Democrats in those towns to win that district. So that's what they do. Now, the problem they're finding out over the last decade is that wasn't working. Remember, we had a Republican senator with Len Suzio. That was unexpected. That was never supposed to happen. So what did they do? Now in 2021, they say, all right, well, where did he get most of his votes from? And most of his votes came from Middlefield. Middlefield is a very Republican town. So what do? They do this. Here is the new and improved Senate District number 13. And if you notice in Middlefield, it has now been cut in half. They have moved most of those Republican votes down into Durham, into Senate District number 12. So why did they do that? They did that so that Republicans cannot vote for a Republican in Senate District number 13 because they were the tipping point. And since they were the tipping point, they cut them out and moved them to another Senate district. This is why elections have consequences. It's one of the major reasons why. Now, as far as the House districts, nothing has changed. At least for Meriden. Everything that was before is the same now. The only thing that has changed is Senate District number 13. They have taken away Republican votes. That's all they did. They took out those Republican votes and inserted them with Democrat ones from Middletown. So what does that mean? Like I said, no Republican will be voted in District number 13. That's what it means. Or it's going to be 10 times harder to do so. These are the kind of games that go on when it's redistricting time. Democrats aren't stupid. They may do stupid things, but when it comes to playing the game, the political game, they are far from stupid. And they do what they need to do. Mary Abrams, one, is a horrible state senator. Horrible. It's just absolutely horrible. So, and she has absolutely no personality. But yet, did the other one either? Yeah, I don't think so. But on experience and knowledge, nobody knows state politics better than Len Suzio. Nobody. Nobody is more engaged in helping the people of the state than Len Suzio. But Len Suzio, and they also know that Len Suzio is a threat. He's a definite threat to Mary Abrams. So what do? They cut out his Achilles heel. And they take out Middlefield. They take out those Republican votes and they insert Democrat votes. That's how the game is played. So that's where that's at. So if anyone thinks that it's going to be an easy ride for state, yeah, unfortunately not. Unfortunately, we have that much more that we have to deal with now. So let's close that out. I got all these stacks here. So a couple other things going on up at the state today, this week. Anyone remember when they put this TCI up? So this TCI is a bill for climate initiative. And this was basically going to sit there and double the prices of gas. And this was a collaboration of all the different towns, all the different states in the Northeast. And actually, Washington, D.C. was actually involved in this also. So this was something that all the states put together, and it was prompted to expect to raise gas prices probably up to about 40 to 50 cents. And the governor today has stated that he is no longer, now this is something that he pushed for the last couple of years, and that he was really going to push after this accord was made. But he's stating now that he is not going to push for it. So that's a plus for us. But the problem is, the only reason why he's not pushing it is because gas prices are so damn high right now. But also, if this legislative body if the new legislative body was to pass it, he would sign it, which doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense to me. If you know that people aren't behind it, and there's no need for it, and there's no push for it, then why would you sign it even if they did pass it? Why would you want to see? Listen, gas prices are already up and they're $5 a gallon. I mean, I think they already are up to $5 a gallon, I believe, in some areas. I know I was on Facebook. I saw one place was at $4.99 for premium gas down in New Haven. Imagine them passing this TCI bill. But again, we're going to have to deal with this again come, next November when we have the state up. State races are going to be here very quick. It's amazing how fast a year goes. So we'll be talking about a lot of these programs. We'll be talking about a lot of these issues that are coming up at the state level. Because it's important to know. It's important to know where your state reps stand. And again, not just being informed here in Meriden. A lot of the stuff they do up at state, affects you greatly here. Yes, it would have increased by 18%. Right now we pay 25 cents. Do you know every time you get a gallon of gas, 25 cents, well, let me back that up. For every gallon of gas, for the federal government, you pay 18 cents. For the state, you pay 25 cents. For gas, you also pay 8.2% gross receipts tax. So if a gallon of gas is $1, for me, if I pick up a gallon of gas for $1, I don't get charged $1. I get charged $8.2. So there's an 8 cents tax on that on top of it, and that's for every dollar that rises. So if your gas prices are going up and up, if I pick it up for $2. You're paying 16.4 cents in taxes on that before you even paid 25 cents. So you could be paying anywhere close to 50 cents a gallon in taxes to the state alone. For diesel, there is no gross receipts tax. It's just well, that's even worse because we'll get into. So if you have a diesel truck, like I have a diesel truck for my personal vehicle, I'm paying 24 cents to the federal government. I'm paying 46 cents per gallon to the state. So they get you every which way to Sunday on taxes. 43 cents now. It used to be 46. But here's actually, let me find it real quick. I know I have it. Here's this is a quick little diagram of where your taxes come from. Right there. That's where your taxes come from. Why are taxes so high in Connecticut so broke? It's one of my favorite breakdowns of where all of our taxes come from in the state. So this was from 2019, so it's changed slightly over the last couple of years, but it's basically still dead on. Oh yeah, of course we pass that cost on to the consumers. We have to. There's no choice. There's no choice. But see, these are the things, again, that we're going to start really diving into. Because, listen, the state's desperate for money. They need to close a budget gap. Budget deficit, in a gap in their budget. And they're going to be right in time. Remember, we just had two of the highest tax increases in state history within the last 10 years. If anyone remembers the $1.8 billion that Governor Malloy passed, and then the $800 million, plus they just raised it last year, $180 million. These are all things you need to be aware of. And if they have it their way up at the state capitol, the gas tax will be next. I know Senator Murphy wants to raise the federal gas tax. So it's very interesting what's going on up there. We need to start paying attention to it because they're going to be coming back into session pretty soon. So, but this was an interesting story I came across while I was doing some research on other things. And again, unions just overall are getting desperate because they're losing membership. They're losing membership in great numbers. So they have really come down to scraping the bottom of the barrel. And here's an article. I actually had to read it twice because I read the headline, and it took me back there for a second. But one of the unions here in the state is looking to seek to unionize National Guard soldiers during times they're called upon by the governor. And this is for disaster cleanups and fighting fires and stuff like that. Now, the problem with that issue is, which I already knew, is that one, it's against federal law, and it is a criminal offense for any National Guard member to unionize. It's actually a federal crime to do so. But of course, we live in liberal Connecticut, and the lawyers down at Yale, they need something to do. They need something to do. So of course, these lawyers, these attorneys over at Yale Law School are saying, well, no, if they're called by the federal government, yes, they can't be unionized. But if they're called by the state, and they work alongside state union members, then they should be unionized. I mean, it's a losing battle, and it's never going to pass because you can't distinguish one between the other. You can't be a union sometimes and then the union and then not a union. That just doesn't make any sense. It never works. That would never work. But yeah, so attorneys from the Yale Law School are asking a court for a declaratory judgment as to whether or not the ban on unionized National Guard members applies while they're working under state authority. Of course they do. Of course. There's no, again, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel. There is no way you could unionize the National Guard. It just doesn't even make any sense. But again, this is how desperate they're getting in this state. And this story, I was very happy to hear about from the state, and that's the fact that the OPM, the Office of Management, is going to audit the COVID funds, and that's going to be statewide. Well, all 169 towns and cities in the state are going to be audited by Cohen Resnick, which again is a great firm. I'm a little biased. One of our family members was CEO of it for a while. So it's a great firm based in Hartford, and they're going to go through every single expenditure on the COVID-related funds. And why is that? All this stemmed from fraud charges in West Haven. Of course, West Haven. West Haven's always been one of the most corrupt cities I've ever seen in my life. They are still the only ones where they have 3 different fire districts, which is absolutely crazy to me. Why do you have 3 different fire districts? Doesn't make any amount of sense to me, other than to drain the pocketbooks of your citizens. Because with that, you have 3 chiefs, 3 deputy chiefs, and it's just an absolute chaotic mess. And why it's lasted that long is beyond me. But again, they like to do everything very crazy down there because it keeps people's eyes away from all the other stuff that's going on. So the federal authorities accused 2 West Haven employees, including one of them was a Democrat state representative at the time, of fraudulently building the city's COVID grant fund from more than $630,000 in consulting services they never provided. And again, this is exactly how big cities and politicians use these funds inappropriately. Because they figure that nobody is watching, and they'll just create shell accounts, and they'll say it's consulting fees. $630,000 in consulting fees that were never done. So in Friday, in a letter to municipal leaders, the OPM undersecretary stated that they had obviously hired Cohen Resnick, a firm out of Hartford, to review town and city policies on spending documents, and called for the municipalities to begin assembling records ranging from itemized COVID relief fund expenditures, details on how these expenditures were connected to the public health crisis, as well as payroll and compensation policies. And they said to make sure that you keep sufficient records to demonstrate their funds were being used appropriately. Now, again, we have a great finance director here in the city of Meriden, and he was very, very clear on where funds can and cannot be used. So I'm grateful that Kevin's been there. Again, he's been making sure that they're staying on the right track, make sure that they're using the funds properly. So hopefully we won't have any issues with this, but this is the kind of stuff I absolutely want oversight on from outside sources. And this was probably the best thing the state could have done to make sure that they uphold the rules when it comes to spending these money. Because I tell you what, I think this is only the beginning of what some of them might find, especially when it comes to cities like Bridgeport, New Haven. Where listen, I've done politics in New Haven for many years. Many years I've been involved in New Haven politics. And that is the most shady group of individuals that run that city. When John DeStefano was there, I can only imagine what it's like now. Because they have gotten away with everything down in New Haven. How? I don't know. But for years, it's been an absolute disaster. The Democrats the Democrats fight within themselves more than they fight with Republicans down there. Republicans have no say when it comes to New Haven. When you hear squabbles and fights going on in New Haven, it's usually Democrats versus Democrats, and it's usually certain individuals versus others within the party. And you got to look at Republicans are outnumbered almost 10-1 down there. So, and that's just coming from experience of being involved down there. Obviously, you know me, I don't mind being outnumbered. It is what it is. I'll still speak my mind. I'll still say what I'm going to say and hope for the best. You never know. Maybe someday somebody's mind is just going to click and be like, holy crap, I've been wrong all this time. Hasn't happened yet, but, you know, here's to wishful thinking. So, let me look at that one. So, let me, I know I had a message here. So it looks like there's going to be a holiday clothing drive for the Meriden Soup Kitchen. Oh, that's already started. So it starts tomorrow. 11/29 through 10/29. Hats, scarves, boots, gloves, coats, sweaters, socks, new and gently used. And here are the drop-off locations. Maloney High School, school hours only. The Meriden Police Department, Broad Street Pizza, and American Legion Post 45, that's over on Hanover. So that is starting tomorrow. And that, Isabel, is that your daughter that's doing it? Is that what I read previously? I believe it is. So if you have hats, scarves, boots, gloves, coats, sweaters, socks, new or gently used, by all means, please drop them off at those locations. If you can't get to those locations, always feel free to contact myself. I will get in contact with Isabel, or I will come pick them up myself and deliver them to wherever they need to go. But again, those locations are Maloney High School during school hours, the Meriden Police Department, Broad Street Pizza over on Broad Street, obviously, and the American Legion Post 45, which is down over on Hanover Street or Hanover Road. So drop off them there. Hopefully that's a success. Listen, this is a time. We're supposed to, well, every time is the best time to sit there and help the less fortunate. So if you do have any of those items, by all means, please drop them off. I think it's a great thing they're doing. And Isabel, please thank your daughter for us for everything she is doing there. But guys, we have a lot more coming up. We're going to have, obviously, Yule Fest. Like I said, we'll get either Carrie or Dave or Daryl, one of them, up here on next week to make sure we could talk about that. If you're going to South Meriden on Saturday, please make sure you visit the event going down on South Meriden, Christmas in the Village. I know Councilman Williams attends that pretty much. I believe I gotta imagine that Councilman Carabetta will probably be there also. How's the reading of the Scape? It is going good. So Dolphins won again today. Well, look at that, 2 in a row. We're on a streak. We're on a streak there. That's about as much happiness as I get because my fantasy football has been total disaster. My fantasy football has been an absolute disaster this year. Started off promising and has taken a quick nosedive. So, hey, maybe we can still make the playoffs. You never know. I didn't know we had too many Dolphin fans around here, but maybe we're gonna make a shot at the playoffs. Who knows? I know we're not too far off. So, we'll see. But, again, to our men and women in the police department, I thank you guys for everything that you guys do. I know this has not been an easy time for you guys over the last couple months. I know it's not going to be an easy time going forward over the next year as all this stuff is implemented. But just know that there are people out there that have your back and that we're going to be doing the best we can to try to help you guys out, make this effects of the CRB to be not as bad as they can be. And we will still fight back. Because like I said, listen, this is again, just one more stepping stone in towards their end game of total control over the police department. That's basically what this comes down to. And the fact that she made the comment, and it's something I kind of blew by before, the comment is about whether or not it's this police chief or another, or police chiefs that follow, as if to say, which I think everybody kind of got taken back by it, as almost as to say, hey, play ball, you're freaking gone. Well, it's like I said, he will be scafed. Chief Rosado will be scafed. Will be guys scafed quickly if he does not get on ball in the game with what's going on. So it's just going to be very interesting over the next couple months to see where the council goes with this and whether or not it is created. And again, who's the mayor going to put on there? the mayor has the right to recommend anyone who he wants to put on there. So it is going to be very interesting to see who he puts on there. I hope I get on. I hope. I can only imagine what the Democrats would think or whether they would approve me or not. I don't see why. I don't think they really can sit there and go against me. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens over the next couple of months. Like I said, we'll try to get the mayor on for next week and see if he can shed some light on what he's going to do. And we get to, after next week, next Monday, not this Monday, but the following Monday, we get to watch Ray Orlet become councilman Orlet. So that should be exciting. And then, of course, we'll talk about his replacement on the Board of Ed. I don't know if that's actually public information yet. Sean, is that public information yet? And I know that it hasn't been brought before yet, but I'll hold off on who is taking over for Ray Orlet, who is potentially taking over for Ray Orlet. And we'll have him on the show too. We'll have the gentleman on the show and then maybe next week. So we'll let that all play out first, and then we'll have him on the show. And then, of course, we'll officially get Councilman Ray Orlet on the show. So he can tell us about what he plans on doing for the citizens of Meriden and how he plans on moving the city forward. So, oh, excuse me. I don't know why my throat's so dry today. I don't know what's going on. So, guys, as I said, I thank everybody for showing up. I know the police department appreciates you guys showing up. I thought it was, again, impressive that we had that place packed. It was absolutely wonderful to see, especially with everything that was going on that night. Remember, you had, people coming, your family members coming in, people were going out of town. You had the light ceremony down on Hubbard Park going on at the same time, and we still managed to pack that place solid. So kudos to everybody that was there. Listen, it did not fall on deaf ears. People were watching. People know. And our job now is to make sure people do not forget this in 2 years. It's almost like the PLA. People did not forget about the PLA. I know myself as a candidate against Brian Daniels, I made sure people did not forget about the PLA. Well, this is going to be the same thing is going to have to happen with the CRB. The same thing is going to need to happen. So we'll make sure we keep that fresh in their minds. And next week we'll tackle more of the issues going on around the city, state, and the national government. But until then, guys, as always, I love you guys. Stay safe. We had a little bit of snow today, so if more is coming, make sure you're prepared for it. Obviously, if you have oil, check your oil levels, and if you do need oil, obviously contact Filler Up. I already took everything off my screen. I don't know why. But we are running a special at $2.59 a gallon. For those of you who did order already, the guys will see you tomorrow. So until then, guys, I love you guys. God bless you. Shovel that path for the oil, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's always a great tip for if you have oil. Make sure you shovel a path for your oil, man, because nobody wants to be walking in knee-high snow to try to get to your oil pipe. But on that, good night, guys. I love you. Until next week, stay safe. God bless you. And obviously, God bless this amazing city of ours. And God bless this amazing country of ours. Without it, there is nowhere else to go for the greatest freedoms that we have here on earth. Love you guys, and I will talk to you guys next week.
nation. I'm a soldier, won't surrender. Faith is like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath when you pry it from the cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping and the shadows could be making history. Through the fire, on the water, used to be a slave, but now you are a conqueror.
They can take my heart, they can take my breath when they pry it from the cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. We're rising up, rising up, we're rising up, rising up, we're rising up. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist.